The ultimate guide to biophilic design, beautiful interior and exterior ideas. Imagine walking into a home where sunlight filters gently through large windows, natural stone meets warm timber, lush greenery becomes part of the architecture, and the garden seems to flow seamlessly into the living spaces. This is the essence of biophilic design, an approach to architecture and interiors that creates a stronger connection between people and the natural world. But biophilic design is much more than simply placing a few plants inside a room. It is about the way a home uses natural light, fresh air, greenery, water, organic forms, natural materials, textures, colors, views, and indoor-outdoor connections to create an environment that feels calming, comfortable, and connected to nature. In today's video, we are taking you through the ultimate guide to biophilic design, exploring how these principles can be used not only inside the home but also across balconies, terraces, courtyards, gardens, facades, and the architecture itself. So whether you are designing a modern apartment, a luxury villa, a compact urban home, or simply looking for ways to make your existing space feel more natural, this video will give you plenty of inspiration. One of the most important elements of biophilic design is natural light. Light has an incredible ability to transform the atmosphere of an interior, and homes that make better use of daylight often feel more open, fresh, and connected to the outdoors. Large windows, floor-to-ceiling glazing, skylights, glass doors, clear-story windows, and thoughtfully positioned openings can allow natural light to travel deeper into the home. Instead of treating windows simply as openings in the wall, biophilic design considers them as opportunities to connect the interior with the changing environment outside. Imagine waking up in a bedroom where the first thing you see is a garden, or sitting in a living room where daylight moves across a natural stone floor throughout the day. These small experiences can make architecture feel much more connected to its surroundings. Window placement also matters because the quality of daylight changes throughout the day, and thoughtful design can use those changes to create different moods within the home. Another major element is greenery, but once again, biophilic design is not about turning your home into a jungle. The goal is to integrate plants thoughtfully into the architecture and interior rather than simply filling every empty corner with pots. A large indoor tree can become a focal point in a living room, while smaller plants can be incorporated into shelves, side tables, window ledges, kitchens, and bathrooms. Hanging plants can introduce greenery at different heights, while vertical gardens or living walls can create dramatic features in larger spaces. The type of plant should also respond to the environment. Consider the amount of natural light, humidity, ventilation, maintenance, and available space before choosing plants. When greenery is integrated thoughtfully, it can soften hard architectural surfaces and create a sense of freshness without overwhelming the design. Biophilic design also relies heavily on natural materials. Wood, stone, bamboo, rattan, cork, clay, linen, cotton, and other naturally inspired materials can introduce warmth and tactile depth into an interior. Imagine a living room combining warm oak flooring, a travertine coffee table, linen upholstery, woven details, and large leafy plants. The color palette might remain neutral, but the variety of textures makes the room feel rich and layered. Natural materials can also be used on walls, ceilings, cabinetry, furniture, flooring, and architectural details. The beauty of this approach is that the materials do not need to be overly decorative. Their natural grain, texture, imperfections, and variations become part of the visual language of the room. Color is another way to strengthen the connection with nature. Biophilic interiors often work beautifully with earth-inspired palettes, including soft greens, warm beige, sand, clay, terracotta, muted browns, warm whites, and natural stone tones. However, this does not mean every biophilic home needs to be green and brown. A sophisticated biophilic interior can remain predominantly neutral and introduce nature-inspired colors through artwork, upholstery, plants, ceramics, or small architectural details. The key is to create a palette that feels grounded rather than artificial. Soft neutrals combined with natural timber and greenery can create a particularly luxurious look, while deeper greens and earthy tones can create a more dramatic atmosphere. Another beautiful characteristic of biophilic design is the use of organic shapes and forms. Nature rarely follows perfectly straight lines and rigid geometry, so introducing curves and softer forms can make an interior feel more relaxed. Curved sofas, rounded dining tables, organic coffee tables, arched openings, sculptural lighting, irregular stone surfaces, and softly shaped furniture can all contribute to this feeling. These forms can be particularly effective when combined with natural materials. Imagine a curved cream sofa sitting beside a rounded stone coffee table, surrounded by timber, greenery, and soft daylight. The result can feel sophisticated while still maintaining a connection to nature. Now let's bring all of these principles together in the living room. A beautiful biophilic living room could begin with a neutral architectural palette, perhaps warm plaster walls or natural stone. Add timber detailing, a comfortable sofa in linen or another natural-looking fabric, an organic-shaped coffee table and a few carefully selected plants. Position the seating so that people can actually see the garden or balcony rather than turning everything toward a television. Large windows can visually extend the room outdoors. Instead of filling the room with accessories, allow a few natural materials and sculptural elements to create the visual interest. The luxury comes from the quality of the materials, the proportions, the light and the connection to nature. The bedroom is perhaps one of the best spaces for biophilic design because it should naturally feel calm and restorative. Here, the approach should be more subtle. Soft neutral colors, natural fabrics, timber, warm lighting and views of greenery can create a peaceful environment. A bedroom with a large window overlooking a garden immediately feels more connected to nature. If the architecture allows it, a private balcony or small planted terrace can make the connection even stronger. You can also use botanical artwork, textured walls, woven rugs and natural bedside materials without making the room feel like a greenhouse. The goal is serenity rather than excessive greenery. Bathrooms can become incredibly beautiful when designed around nature. Imagine stepping into a bathroom with warm stone walls, timber cabinetry, soft daylight and greenery positioned beside a freestanding bathtub. A skylight above the shower can introduce daylight while maintaining privacy. Large windows overlooking a private garden can create a feeling of being outdoors while still maintaining the comfort of an indoor space. Natural stone, textured ceramics and warm wood tones can make the bathroom feel like a private retreat. For an even more dramatic effect, an outdoor shower or a courtyard visible from the bathtub can create a seamless relationship between architecture and landscape. For homes with enough space, an indoor garden can become an architectural feature rather than simply decoration. A planted courtyard positioned between rooms can allow greenery to become visible from multiple areas of the house. Green walls can also introduce vertical greenery when floor space is limited. However, maintenance needs to be considered carefully. A beautiful green wall that is difficult to maintain will quickly lose its appeal. In some homes, carefully selected low-maintenance plants can provide the same visual effect with much less effort. Courtyards are one of the most powerful architectural tools for biophilic design. They allow nature to exist in the center of the home rather than simply at its boundaries. Rooms can be arranged around a landscaped courtyard so that multiple spaces receive views, daylight and ventilation. A courtyard could include a mature tree, stone flooring, a small water feature and comfortable seating. When doors or large glass panels open toward it, the courtyard becomes a visual extension of the interior. This type of planning is particularly effective because nature becomes part of the home's architecture rather than an accessory added afterward. Biophilic design doesn't stop at interiors. The exterior of the house can also be designed to work together with the surrounding landscape. Instead of creating a building that looks completely separate from its environment, architects can use natural stone, timber, textured plaster, planted terraces, green roofs and layered landscaping to help the structure blend into its surroundings. A contemporary facade could combine large glass openings with stone walls, timber screens and abundant planting. The landscape can soften hard architectural edges and create a more welcoming transition between the street and the home. For apartments, balconies and terraces become especially important because they may provide the primary connection to nature. Even a relatively small balcony can become a beautiful green retreat with layered planters, herbs, small trees, comfortable seating and warm lighting. Rather than placing everything around the perimeter, consider creating different levels of greenery. Taller plants can provide privacy, medium-height plants can add fullness and smaller plants can decorate tables and shelves. Natural timber decking, stone flooring or textured outdoor furniture can complete the look. Swimming pools can also become part of a biophilic landscape. Instead of treating the pool as an isolated rectangular object, the surrounding architecture and planting can be designed as one composition. Natural stone around the pool, tropical or native planting, timber decks and views toward greenery can make the space feel like a private resort. The same principle can be applied to outdoor dining areas, pergolas, fire pits and garden lounges. The objective is to create outdoor spaces that encourage people to actually spend time surrounded by nature. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of biophilic design is the idea of blurring the boundary between inside and outside. Large sliding glass doors can open the living room directly onto a terrace. Similar flooring can visually continue from the interior toward the exterior. The same material palette can be repeated across both spaces. Plants can appear on both sides of the glass so that the transition feels almost invisible. When done well, you don't feel like you are moving from one space to another. Instead, the home seems to flow naturally into the landscape. Luxury biophilic design is ultimately about creating an experience rather than simply displaying expensive materials. A luxury home can have marble, designer furniture and beautiful lighting, but what makes a biophilic space special is how all of those elements work together with nature. The best examples feel sophisticated but not artificial. They use carefully selected materials, dramatic views, controlled natural light, beautiful landscaping and thoughtful spatial planning. Instead of asking, "Where can I put another plant?" the better question is, how can this space create a stronger relationship with nature? There are a few mistakes to avoid. The first is assuming that biophilic design simply means adding dozens of plants. Too much greenery without proper planning can make a room feel cluttered. Another mistake is using artificial-looking materials while calling the space natural. Balance is important. Maintenance should also be considered, especially for indoor plants, green walls and water features. Finally, don't sacrifice functionality for aesthetics. A beautiful plant should not block circulation, and a large window should not make the room uncomfortable because of excessive heat or glare. Good biophilic design combines beauty, comfort, functionality and nature.